strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you could possibly imagine.
Just last week, Splinterlands introduced the ability for any player to come in and create their own DAO proposal, and we already have people taking advantage of this. We currently have 4 proposals that are up for vote that I'm going to run through. 3 are from the community, and 1 is actually from the Splinterlands team, but they're taking it through the community process as well. So I'm going to go through all these, break them down, give my own opinions on them. I'll try to keep things fairly short since we've got 4 to go through. You guys know I kind of stink at that, so I will break them down into chapters down below. So if you get tired of me talking about one, want to move on to the next, use those chapters down below to skip ahead. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get into it. Let's take a look at our first community proposal, which is honestly more of a for show thing. So we're not going to spend much time on this. It's Peak Monsters really showing a kind of a proof of concept here. They have requested that the DAO pay for them to create their proposal page. And their proposal page will pull up here. We'll pull up here in just a second. But first, I want to make sure it's clear that they're asking for 1 SPS payment. 1 SPS payment. So this is just kind of showing proof of concept that the DAO can hire third parties to develop whatever they want using SPS. Wonderlands paid 100K DEC in order, they burned 100K DEC in order to get paid 1 SPS. So it's not about the payment here, it's just about showing proof of concept, probably some advertising for Peak Monsters as well. But let's actually go to that page so you can see, because this page is very, very nice. So if we go back, let's go back to the original proposal here real quick. With any of these, the first step in these proposals, I talked about this on the previous video, but for those who may have missed it or didn't see that video, whatever, the first step is creating a Hive post, and then you can go upvote or downvote these on the Hive post in order to say whether you support them or not, whether you're for or against. And if we look at these here, this shows the amount of Hive power that's voted for, that's upvoted or downvoted it. Splinterlands doesn't care about Hive power, they care about SPS. So it uses those same accounts and it looks at the amount of SPS they have staked. So this is very nice in that, first off, it shows all the proposals here and you can upvote them or downvote them right from this page. But then it also shows the amount of SPS that's upvoting and downvoting it. You can't actually see that on the website. So this page is really cool. And it screens out those who have not made the payment, like the very first one down here with that was actually from Splex to help test they've got a site, a web page just like this as well that does the same or similar, has similar features. So I'm glad that Splex and Peak Monsters has this up, so it makes it very easy to see these community proposals. And I'm sure for them it also it acted as a way to test these pages. They need to have a proposal up there to go make sure everything was working. So that was probably another reason for both these posts here. So anyways, it was pretty cool. I upvoted it. I think this page is awesome, and the proof of concept there is kind of nice. So that one's pretty uncontroversial. So let's dive into our first real proposal here. And I really like this one because this is something. Well, let's look at it first. Proposal: the DAO should stake an additional 28 million SPS in order to get their SPS rewards. And I like this proposal in that this is something that the DAO controls. So we're gonna see, like, for example, the next proposal is actually not something that the DAO has control over. We'll talk about, they work with the team. The teams agree that yes, they will do this, but the team ultimately retains veto power over those types of things. The team can't veto this. If the DAO decides they want to stake this SPS and get the extra SPS rewards, there is literally nothing the team can do other than use. The team can use their own SPS to vote against it if they don't like it, and they've got quite a bit of power there. But if we still manage to pass it, this is controlled by 100% by the DAO. So the purpose of this is to get extra rewards for the DAO. And that is something that is important, because we're not going to mint SPS forever. Down the line, the DAO is going to be responsible for a lot of these rewards. For example, just your in-game rewards. We're only giving out SPS in ranked battles for 65 months. After that, it's up to the DAO to decide what to do. Do they want to continue to fund those SPS rewards from their own treasury? I mean, that's kind of expected what will happen. So we need to build up that treasury to be prepared for that. Liquidity pool, like we have LP rewards. What's going to happen after the 65 months of rewards is up for that and we stop minting it? Is the is the DAO going to fund those rewards? I would personally like to see the DAO just run the LPs instead, but either way, the DAO needs funds in order to be able to do this. So this is a way to increase the SPS in the DAO by staking that SPS, getting SPS rewards. And one thing I do really like is that you don't just gain SPS rewards, you gain voucher rewards as well. I've said that I would like the DAO to run those liquidity pools, right? Well, if the DAO just has SPS, then in order to run some of the liquidity pools, it needs to sell off that SPS to get the other half of the pool. And if we're going to sell off that much SPS, that's going to put a lot of pressure on the price for SPS. So one of those liquidity pools involves vouchers. If the DAO is just naturally getting vouchers, we will have vouchers to participate in that liquidity pool. So I do like that part of it. It actually mentions the DAO also get GLX, because staked SPS holders get GLX. It mentions the DAO could sell GLX and then use those to get DEC. Maybe help DEC get to par or fund a liquidity pool with DEC SPS, whatever the case is. So keep in mind that this proposal is not about what to do with those extra funds, okay? It's not at all about this. It's just to stake the SPS. I don't like the idea of the DAO selling the GLX though. I really don't. I'm obviously biased. I'm a GLX holder, but having the Splinterlands DAO putting that price pressure on GLX, I just don't like that. Not necessarily a huge fan of that. But again, that would be a separate vote, okay? So I'm not going to vote against this because I don't want them to sell GLX. If I want Splinterlands to stake and get the extra rewards, but just not sell GLX, I'd vote for this. And then if a vote comes up to sell GLX, I would vote against that. So I do want to make this very clear. This is just kind of talking about what the DAO could do with those funds. It's not actually a proposal on doing any of these things. So the potential reason to oppose, okay? And this is why I'm actually, you guys saw the spoiler from the other screen. I've downvoted this. I don't like it because this takes away from SPS stakers, okay? Because there's a flat amount of SPS staking rewards. So if the DAO is collecting some of that, that's that much less that goes to those who are already staking. 6.3% less for everybody else that's currently staking SPS, which is not a ton necessarily, but I don't feel like this is the DAO's place to go in and take those rewards. Because remember, the DAO is already getting 10% of the SPS that is minted over time. We're minting 3 billion SPS. 10% of that goes to the DAO over those 65 months. Okay, the DAO already has, in addition to like the license sales, in addition to the Rift Watcher sale, the DAO is just getting a percent of the minted SPS as it is. Okay, so it's already got its source of funds. I feel like that was put in place for this already. We don't need the DAO to then go in and take from the SPS stakers rewards as well. Okay, so that's just my personal opinion. I don't have a strong opinion on this one. I will not complain whatsoever if this passes, because again, I really like the idea of the DAO getting vouchers in particular. Okay, I will admit that I do like that. And again, those vouchers, that will be less vouchers for SPS stakers as well. So that does come from that too. So again, it's not just minting more for the DAO, it comes from player rewards. So just something to keep in mind. I'm okay with whatever happens here, but that was why I did vote against it, because I feel like the DAO is already getting that percent of the SPS. I don't feel the need to give them more. So that's number 2. On to number 3. This one also coming from the community. This is requesting that Splinterlands make a promo card that goes to those who have staked SPS. Each SPS staker would be allowed to purchase 1 card per 1,000 SPS staked for a fee of 1 voucher per card. And I kind of hinted at this earlier. This is something that the DAO doesn't technically control. They cannot make Splinterlands do this, okay? Now, Splinterlands has agreed that they will do this if this passes, okay? That's what they've said, and technically they could change their mind after a vote. They could say, well, no, we actually, something came up where our devs are busy doing something else. We're not going to do this. I don't imagine they would do this, but I do want to make sure that this is clear, that this is something that, yes, the DAO can vote on, but it requires approval from the team. So anyways, I said they have approval, so that part's already good. let's move on. Should Splinterlands create a promo card for 1 voucher per card, and you are limited in how many you can buy based on the amount of staked SPS that you have. So the purpose of this is to basically show that the DAO can create value there and reward those who have staked SPS. This is one I'm actually very strongly against. Very strongly against. And the reason is pretty simple. We have vouchers that were created that are meant to represent staked SPS over time, okay? Your vouchers are supposed to be that's the reward system for staking SPS, okay? I would fully support, and I've requested this in the past. You guys know I've campaigned for months to have promo cards that are for vouchers, either vouchers or DEC, or a combination of both. I really like everything to be DEC with the option for vouchers to discount it, even if you're discounting it down to 0. But whatever the case is, I like just having a promo card for vouchers. I don't like the extra requirement of needing staked SPS as well, because I feel like that then goes around the voucher system. If you're staking that SPS over time, you are getting these vouchers, so this card will then be, in a sense, free to you. If you don't want the value that comes from the promo card or from whatever else is presented with vouchers, you can then instead opt to take that value in just a form of payment by selling off your voucher. Okay? And anybody who doesn't have staked SPS could still opt to go in and buy this card by acquiring vouchers. So I don't think anything should be just for staked SPS. We do have an example of this in the game though, and that is tournaments. To enter certain tournaments, you have to have a fixed amount of SPS at a specific time. That is something I've also campaigned against, that I don't like that. I think instead of having SPS staking requirements, it should just be burning vouchers to enter these tournaments. And the higher tournaments require more vouchers or whatever the case is. So if those who are staking SPS don't care about entering tournaments, they can just sell off their vouchers. And if people who don't have SPS staked but still want to enter the tournament, they can just buy up the vouchers to enter those tournaments. So that's another area I've requested change for this exact reason in the past. So we'll see what the community thinks here. There's been lots of debates in Mav chat on this one, and it's gotten much deeper than I think things really need to get. But again, just my own personal opinion, I feel like vouchers already don't have enough value, and I don't like the idea of going around the voucher system already in place and basically creating a new reward loop there. But we'll see what the community thinks. Do you want to reward those who have staked SPS and allow them to purchase vouchers? It also puts a limit. Having that stake that puts a limit on the amount of cards you could actually have. And it talks about there would be 300,000 to 600,000 VCX. They say they'll let the team decide what rarity and that type of thing. If you didn't have the staked SPS requirement, the limit would just be based on, well, you could even set a hard limit if you want to make sure it's not too printed. But then otherwise the limit would just be based on the amount of vouchers people are willing to burn. So I kind of like it being unlimited. And if we have if we burn 4 million vouchers for 4 million VCX of a card, then great, we wiped all those vouchers off the market, and maybe that card overall isn't all that valuable because there's a ton of it, but who cares? We've given a lot of value to vouchers by getting those off the market. So I'd rather see this modified to just not have the staked SPS requirement. Anyways, I feel like I've harped on that too much, beat it to death. Let's move on to the one proposed by Splinterlands. And this is one that I've talked about before. I talked about on the DEC battery proposal, because this was one of the uses for DECB was intended to be basically land potions. Boost land survey chances by burning DECB. So the proposal is to allow players surveying their land to pay 10k DEC tokens, about $6 at current prices, or $10 at par prices, or the DECB per plot, to gain double the normal chances of getting rare, epic, and legendary. So not just legendary, but rare, epic, and legendary plots, as well as double the normal chances of getting a magical or an occupied plot. Please note that this will be one single option to boost both the chances. all tokens spent for the land survey bonus would be burned. And it talks about how many DEC, B, and DEC we could possibly burn. If it was half and half, it'd be 400 million DEC burned and 2.5 million vouchers burned. Okay, so the entire purpose of this is basically to burn more DEC or more vouchers to help us get back to par with DEC. And that is something that is important, okay? I absolutely understand the importance of this. If we get back to par, then one of really the only utilities out there for SPS is that you can burn SPS to get DEC, but that's only useful if DEC is at par, because you're getting it at par value, actually a little bit below par value, so there's a little bit of a barrier there. But if we get to the point where we don't have enough DEC and need to put more DEC in the system because we've burned it all, then people start burning the SPS to get that DEC. That gives utility for SPS. Burning SPS makes the remaining SPS more rare, more valuable. So that helps out with the SPS value, and that's kind of that's a quick summary of the loop that's been talked about so quite a bit. The flywheel, you'll hear it called. So I absolutely understand to add the importance of adding more DEC sinks. My personal opinion is that I'm against adding DEC sinks to something that's already been purchased when there was, at the time people were purchasing these, up until this rumor, this idea started circulating the last month or two of the land potions. But when people bought this land, we were told that we would need buildings for the land. We were told DEC would upgrade the speed of building those buildings. We weren't even told that DEC would be used to build the buildings, but that was always a possibility. Told we would need cards to work the land, that type of thing. So we expected there to be more expenses, but nowhere was it ever suggested that you would also have to buy these potions before you even begin working the land. And people say, well, you don't have to buy them. They're optional. You can go without them. Yeah, and they don't tell us the rarities, which I wish we would know. Like, okay, a little bit more about the rarities and the magical resources and being occupied and exactly how beneficial that is. But my assumption, this is going to be like purchasing packs with potions. Yes, you're not required to use potions to open pack, but you are. I mean, if you want to get that value, it's a no-brainer. You're going to get more. You get more value out of it than you put into it. So when people say you don't have to use these potions, I mean that's a very weak thing. You essentially have to. And the thing about the potions is it's something you spend up front. You can never get that back. Like we mentioned things like using cards to work land, getting your buildings. Like if you have to, yeah, maybe there'll be DE sinks for buildings, but all of that you can build up to that. That can be acquired down the road. You can start with your land, and yeah, maybe you don't have the highest level cards on them, but you can still acquire those over time. So that might be lost revenue while you don't have the best cards on them, but you can work your way up to that. You can't recover from not having your potions. All right, like that's a thing that once it's done, it's done. And if you want to wait until you've got the funds to use those potions, then you're not getting any benefit from your land whatsoever. Like you have to wait to even reveal what it is. And that's why I think there's a big difference between having DEC sinks on maintaining buildings, building buildings, like investing into cards to work them, than there is potions. And that's something that landowners simply weren't told about. Now, on the flip side of that, I will say that we had a proposal several months ago about starting SPS rewards for landholders. I was adamantly against that because I didn't like adding more SPS into the system without the economic benefits, without things like needing the cards to work the land to get that SPS, whatever the case is. All right, and we started those rewards for SPS holders. So for landholders, those SPS rewards for landholders. So right now, landholders, by the way, I am a landholder. I have 3 tracks, which is equivalent to 300 plots. So yes, I have bias here. But in my opinion, landholders like myself did not deserve that SPS that we've been getting for the last few months. Or didn't deserve it yet. I mean, yeah, we waited forever for it, but until the economic benefits here, I didn't like starting those rewards earlier. So yeah, we got these extra rewards. Now we need to burn some DEC people say, okay, it makes sense. You got the extra rewards. Now you have to pay extra to kind of offset that. And I think that's actually pretty fair. But like when you look at this whole thing in context, it just seems so weird. Okay, we started SPS rewards for landholders because they waited forever and they like, the thought was we haven't done right by them. We need to start getting them rewards. Now we need to get DEC back to par. Let's have landholders. It's basically a land tax is what it is. That's essentially what this is a land tax. Now the landholders are the ones who are supposed to help DEC get to par. And so now, even though we felt like they deserve more and deserve their rewards, now they deserve to be the ones paying for it. We're going to change that around. We're going to charge more for the land tax than what they're getting from the SPS rewards. And the whole idea of this is all being done to get DEC back to par so that we can give SPS value. But we started this by printing out more SPS. In order to pay this land tax, you're saying that DEC holder or the SPS holders should essentially sell. Yeah, you could get some vouchers from staking it, but it's not nowhere near enough. You probably have to sell your SPS to get that DEC, which will drive the SPS pressure down so we can raise DEC up so that maybe we get to par, maybe we don't, but maybe we get to par and we can help then the SPS value come back up. Like when you look at this whole thing as one big loop here, it just makes no sense. It just makes no sense. And I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I feel like land potions are going to pass in some form, one way or another. But that's why I'm voting against it. Hopefully that makes sense. But it's essentially we need to get DEC back to par. So this is a tax in order to reveal your land for landholders. So as a landholder, if this passes, I will probably just hold off for a while, because it's going to be a while before land is actually useful. That's estimated for Q3 when we start producing resources. So 6 months or so away. So that would give me time to gain that SPS and then sell that SPS off so I can afford these. And that's probably what I would do. Won't be the end of the world if it passes. We'll see. How many vouchers will it burn? How much DEC will it burn? I don't know. I don't know. I'm just against the core thing is I'm against selling something and then too many times with various different things. The game's basically screwed over the pre-sale holders or the original purchasers. Now, those who bought land in the actual pre-sale and bought in early have received a lot of rewards since then. They're definitely not being screwed over, but it's still, you're selling something and then you're turning around and saying, oh no, you have to buy even more to get that benefit that you thought you were going to have. And I'm just against that entire concept. What I would like instead, actually, I proposed an alternative not too long ago in Mav Chat. They also, when they did the pre-sale, they had raffles for totems. Totems are supposed to be something that increases your land production, okay? And some of the totems were given then. They said the other totems would be made available by a mechanism yet to be determined. Kind of seemed like it would be something that you would randomly find while working your land or things like that. But I would much rather, if we're going to do it this way, sell totems instead. Sell the totems for a DEC burn. And that kind of, again, if you want to get the maximum benefit of your land, you need to go buy that totem. But it's a very different thing because those totems were something we already knew about. As a landholder, I didn't expect to have those. So I already expected to be at that disadvantage. And I am going to be at that disadvantage. This gives me a chance to spend DEC to basically gain that advantage for myself, or remove that disadvantage that I've had, that I've always known about. I've always thought I would have to go buy those off the secondary market. And the other big thing is if I choose to participate in that now, or not to participate in that now, I can always go buy it down the line off the secondary market to add it to my lands. It's not I have to use it now or I lose the entire benefit. I can work my way up to that, or I can buy some for my land and work my way up to acquiring more over time to maximize the benefit of my lands. The big thing I hate about potions is it's an all or nothing thing right now. And I say right now, before you can start land production, okay? Like you can't start your land production and then decide you want to roll for a potion later on or something like that. Obviously the land isn't here now, so it's not literally right now. You've got time to decide, but you can't start using your land until you use that, until you decide whether or not you want that potion. And there's no going back from not using it. So that's why it's a very different thing. And something like totems would be different because you can build up to it. So anyways, that's my thought. We've got, this is a long video here as we talked about 4 different proposals, but overall the whole system is pretty cool here. Like, even though I'm not supporting most of these proposals, other than the Peak Monsters one, which is more for show than anything else, I still love the idea that anybody can go initiate these and the community can vote on them and we can let the community decide. So the whole process I think is awesome, and I'm curious to see what all comes out of this. I've got my own that I'm going to be putting forth hopefully soon. Now it's one that again requires the team to actually approve. So I've reached out to the team to see if they will approve that, but hopefully I will be having my own proposal that's submitted in the not too distant future, and try to gather funds to burn to submit that. So keep your eye out. There's going to be more, but as these proposals come out, I'll be doing more videos going through them all and kind of giving my own personal opinion. Again, it's just my own personal opinion. I know a lot of people are going to disagree. There's not a right or wrong answer to these. I just share my own thoughts. You guys can always and will make your own decisions, and can let me know what those decisions are down in the comments. Let me know why you're voting for, why you're voting against these proposals, and I'm curious to see what happens. So again, you can go to that Peak Monsters page, go to the Splex page if you want to see the list of all the proposals, their current standing as far as SPS voted for, voted against. Those are great resources, so absolutely use those. Thanks a lot, guys. See you next time.